Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk to you about using behavioural economics to eliminate market failure. So we know what behavioural economics is, we know what nudge theory is, we know about the different anchoring and different theories that there are behind behavioural economics, but what's the point of it all? Well, the whole point of behavioural economics is to change consumer behaviour. And if you can change consumer behaviour, then you can hopefully eliminate some market failures. So let's consider a situation where we have a market failure with a demerit good. Let's say it's cigarettes or alcohol. Too much smoking in society, too much alcohol consumption, and society feels it should be reduced. Okay, might be a political decision by government, but let's say that government represents society, so society decides that there is an overconsumption. So the market currently is consuming QM, whereas at a price of PM, whereas what we would really like as a society is less cigarette smoked at QS, because that's the social equilibrium. So we have an overconsumption. So we could use behavioural economics, we could remove asymmetric information, we could advertise in a certain way that makes people take certain actions to reduce their smoking habits. We could change packaging, etc. So all those are behavioural economic policies. Remember, behavioural economics are an alternative to tax, subsidy or legislation, so alternative traditional policies. So in this particular case, let's say our behavioural economics policies are trying to reduce people's demand for cigarettes. MPB, remember, is the demand curve. So by implementing those behavioural policies, the intention is to try and shift that demand curve to the left. So we now have marginal private benefit plus, let's say, plus P for policy. If you do that, the new equilibrium is here, and this overconsumption has been eliminated, and the externality has been internalized. Similarly, we may want society to consume more of a particular good. So let's consider a merit good, and let's say, for the sake of argument, in this case, the merit good is electric cars. So we want people to buy electric cars, more people to drive electric cars. Currently in the marketplace, only this much of the market is only providing this much electric cars. Okay, but we want people to consume more. And if we were to use behavioural economics for that, and if we were to just try and encourage them to increase their demand for it, if there was sufficient supply, we're assuming that there is sufficient supply available in the marketplace, and I know there may not be, but let's assume that there is for the time being, then we want to increase demand. We could then encourage people by making them feel guilty about the pollution that they create through driving fossil fuel burning vehicles, etc., and get people to switch to electric cars. If that's the case, then their demand curve would shift to the right. So originally we have this level of underconsumption. We want QS to be consumed, but QM is, so we have an underconsumption. And now we're going to implement our policy, which is going to cause the demand curve to shift out to the right. So it becomes marginal private benefit plus our policy. So let's call it MPB plus P. Now this has become the new market equilibrium, and which coincides with the social equilibrium. Therefore, we have internalized the externality and we've resolved the market failure. That's how you can use behavioural economics to resolve market failure. Don't think that with behavioural economics you can't use diagrams to demonstrate your point. Yes, you can. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye now.